It's me again. Happy All Saints Day for most of you, or hopefully some of you. Some of you that are sinners, well, that'll be for another day. But anyway, just wanted to reach out to you briefly. This is, I usually do a pre Halloween video, but this one is just going to be a brief little chat. I went through your papers, your grades have been awarded. The vast majority of you did exceptionally well. I think only one or two of you needed to contact me. Very few didn't quite get the idea. So that leads me to a couple of thoughts here. First thought is those that did very well in the paper, and I know how you're writing in your discussion threads and your journals. There's one or two of you that did exceptionally well, in writing paper two, and my sense is that you understand intellectually what you need to do for the class and you're meeting the requirements, but it's almost as though there's a facade. I can kind of tell. And now I can name names, but I won't, right? But I know who I suspect, right? If that makes any sense. Where you're kind of just saying, hey, look, I got this down, okay? So there's one or two of you there. There's another person who I believe is, shall we say, really struggling. And they might not be the only one, but there's at least one or maybe two that are struggling. And I'm not sure why. Except to say that not coming to your professor or to someone like a colleague, a peer, a boss for help might not be the best thing. You should always seek help. So this is a general notice then to all of you, even those of you that did well. In life sucks, right? Sometimes we get thrown a curveball and we lose the World Series like the Yankees did. And it feels devastating. You need help. You should seek help, whether it's professional help, family, friends. Don't close yourself off to help. Ethics is so important in our work that if you stay in your mindset, okay, of pretty much pretending, oh, I'm a very ethical person, but then you go home and you're struggling with a substance abuse issue, a marital problem. You got a boyfriend or girlfriend you're living with and it ain't working out right, and you might drink or smoke a little pot to get away and you kind of withdraw. That's not really healthy. And it sets you up for a big fall. Okay? So let me just say, if you're struggling with an issue, you don't have to come to me. Find some help, okay? Because the signs I'm seeing to at least a couple of you, or for you, the signs that I'm picking up on lead me to believe something is not right, okay? And if I can help you, if Dr. Bora can help you, fine. If not, you need to maybe seek help. Then the others, in general, as I said, some of you who are really intellectually getting this, but you're not inculcating it, you're going to hit a different roadblock in your life. You might not have to deal with a substance abuse issue, mental anguish, whatever it might be, but you're going to be dealt with an ethical challenge in your life that's going to hit the core. And if you haven't really identified your weaknesses and begin to work on them, you very well may fall. I'll give one example, and then we'll kind of cut the video pretty short afterwards. But I had a student in class, and I won't give you her ethnic makeup, but you can figure it all out yourself from the story. If you're from Jersey, you can figure this out. Um, she was an immigrant, came to this country, and worked in Elizabeth as a social worker. And her paper one was impeccably well written. I mean, impeccable. But the discussion threads, they also were very good. But something clued me in that, I don't know, this is like, she's writing better than Boss, Duska, and Plantwright. Certainly speaks better than I do. Make a long story short, plagiarism. So I'm working with her, hey, look, this is not a good thing to do, and well, I'm not a native speaking American, and blah, blah, blah. I said, it doesn't matter. I said, you can write in your own language, use Google Translate, and I won't grade you for grammar. And she didn't want to do that, so we kind of worked out something. I forgot exactly what it was. But during this, she was very proud, a very proud person that she came from a very aristocratic background and very ethical. And as I started talking to her more about this, she kind of opened up, I think in paper two, where she indicated as a social worker working in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Now remember, she immigrated, right, to this country, came from an aristocratic background, and probably felt the job she had as a social worker might have been a little demeaning. I don't know. Right? That we didn't get to. But it's not central to the story. But she was in a position to approve or disapprove public entitlement benefits such as the SNAP program, food stamps, public housing, welfare, if you will, and maybe even a Planet Fitness gym membership, right? In some states. So she admitted to favoring her own ethnic group over other ethnic groups in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And I wasn't shocked, but what concerned me was her papers were, oh my God, I'm going to do my best to walk on water again this week. Highly ethical, intellectual, I get it. But in the heart, as Jenny wrote, actually, in one of the pop quizzes, empathy and compassion. And you're right, Jenny. We need empathy and compassion. I'll tell you another little vignette and then we're done. When I was a teenager, because I know a lot of Americans are on edge over the election. When I was a teenager, coming from New Jersey, again, you can figure out the details. My family was quite politically connected. Matter of fact, a distant cousin through my brother-in-law, my brother-in-law's nephew, worked for one of the governors. Some of you probably weren't born at the time, but this was, it's public information. But anyway, I better not. But it was a governor, and this nephew, my brother-in-law's nephew, wound up being a federal witness over a large problem that hit the governor. The governor ultimately had to resign. Things came out about his orientation, all this stuff, right? Well, anyway, the connections that my family had were pretty well grounded in the county we lived in. And I remember one election, I was 15. I get recruited by the family to go pick up old ladies, mostly at the senior citizen nursing home. And our job was to bring them to the polling station. And at the time, the internal controls were totally different. So this is just to give you an idea. That voter or election fraud does exist. And don't let anyone tell you it doesn't. Now, whether it can overturn an election, that's a different story, right? But voter fraud at least existed in my day, and from what I'm reading, still does. That's why every vote does matter, and you should cast your vote, okay? But my point is, now, 15, we were basically told you escort the elderly into the polling booth, right to the polling booth, and they had it worked out because the leader of the group, um, who was a local politician, would bring donuts to the poll watchers, and he'd start talking to them while we're bringing the old ladies, mostly old ladies and some old men, into the polling station. And because they had walkers or wheelchairs, we had to help them. Guess what else we did? We made sure they voted for our candidate. Okay? Certainly was an ethical breach, and it was institutionalized. Now, the good thing is, as I got older, I realized, even though you have a family obligation, right, you have ethical obligations. So, as I got older, I told my family that I was going to walk away from, kind of like just doing the stupid stuff. There were other things that they wanted me to do, and we had mentioned there was a mayor in my township wanted me to take back kickbacks for some audit work I had done and consultation work I had done, and I wouldn't pay the kickback. I charged a fair rate. They wanted me to charge more and then kick them back. And the way you kick back is they send you the solicitations in the mail. You know, come to Jenny's fundraiser. Dinner. Each table's $500, or come to this raffle that Jake is running, and buy these raffle tickets. Proceeds will go to charity. Yeah, okay, right. And that's how you legally kick the money back in a way, right? Or illegally kick it back. And I wouldn't play those games. So I left New Jersey when the government was downsizing, and I came to Washington, and I really thought that I left the corruption and the nepotism and all that in Jersey, thinking that Washington, man, these people really care. They've got to be great. Nothing could be further from the truth, in my opinion and my experience. You can certainly disagree. I don't care. I'm fine. You disagree. Based on my experience, we have more technically competent people, at least in the accounting and auditing profession, around the country in the field. Now, you have some great policy people here in DC, but wrench turners, people that understand, let's say, the nuts and bolts of journal entry accounting, yeah, you'll have a few here. But the real salt of the earth accountants and auditors are spread around the country. You come here, it's a different class. So when I got here from New Jersey, what can I tell you? Culture shock. And I realized real fast, in this political environment, you have to be a critical thinker. You cannot listen just to one political party or the other. You make a big mistake. Certainly their core values, right? And you test both sides to those core values, and whichever side comes closer to your core value, you kind of gravitate to. Nothing wrong with that. But at least you don't disregard the other's opinion. So with that all being said, my rambling should probably stop for a Friday, but I'm going to challenge those of you who are basically putting a facade up, a mask like we did on Halloween last night, and when you're playing trick or treat, it's going to catch up to you. Okay, it really will. And people can see through, like, I don't even know you really, and yet just by your writings I can tell that there's at least 2 or 3 you're really good fakers. Maybe you're the sociopath. Maybe you're the next person to become a fraudster in your local government, right? Or in your federal service. And again, for those of you that are struggling with real life issues, seek your help, okay? With that being said, have a great weekend, and understand, where there's unity, you'll find, as Jenny said to me, or wrote to me, empathy and compassion. Never forget those 96% of Americans are non-sociopathic, meaning we have feelings and we have compassion. We wouldn't take a cat and set it on fire. 4% of the people in the country will do it because they're crazy, right? It's like psychopathic. Um, okay, so empathy, compassion will get us through any election cycle, any hurricane, any problem. But without those two things, you're not going to have unity, you'll have disunity, and that's a problem. So remember, a bird needs two wings to fly, a left wing and a right wing, but the brain in the middle, which hopefully has a little bit more hair than your professor, helps decide which wing flaps when. Flap both wings, my friend, and fly high like an eagle above the storm. We'll see you.